here. Move it. Shit, get down.
Most military shooters are not what anyone would call realistic. While it is highly entertaining to be sliding backwards down the side of a building while shooting enemies in a helicopter, I don't imagine that is a normal occurrence in military life.
Let's go, let's go, let's go!
So, how would a military shooter that is more focused on realism play? Well, one of the ways is probably much like Full Spectrum Warrior.
Find another route.
At a first glance, Full Spectrum Warrior seems just another military shooter, a dime a dozen. But when you understand the gameplay and setting, it becomes much more than that. The story feels incredibly realistic. After terrorist attacks, the United States deploys troops in Iraq and Afghanistan to track the leaders of the terrorist factions. The story develops in a rip-from-the-headline style and can sometimes feel more like a news broadcast than an actual game. But this is a game, so obviously there has to be gameplay, and that is where the game really sets itself apart from others. You take control of the 159th Light Infantry as they accomplish tasks in the war-torn land. The interesting thing is you control the division, not an individual member. You have two separate squads marked Alpha and Bravo, and it is your job to keep them alive. The game is much more of a real-time strategy game than it is a shooter. You will tell the separate squads when to move, where to move, who to target, and when to take cover. The command system does take some getting used to, but it is intuitive and complete when you do. The missions are objective-based, having you moving from one side of the map to the other, all the while using real military tactics to advance. Expect having to leapfrog every time you want to move a squad, having one squad lay down suppressing fire while the other books it to cover. Sometimes it can become very frustrating when engaged in combat, because you can't actually shoot the enemies.
Enemy down.
You tell your squad who to fire upon, then they do it, leaving you to just watch. But what all this does is give you an actual feeling of connection to your soldiers. When you make a mistake and lose a squad member, you will actually feel like you lost a friend. You will feel each mistake, which will have you spending extra time thinking out your movement. Every action has a consequence, and every mistake leads to a death. Plan wisely. If you crave high-paced military action, then look elsewhere. But what Full Spectrum Warrior does deliver is gritty, intense, and stressful combat that will have you think it through.
Signal. Go, Reload.